So, with the winter now closing in, it's kind of making jobs like fiberglassing and varnishing almost impossible now. We'll have to wait till the spring to do those jobs or finish those jobs off. So today, without further ado, we're going to turn our attention to other projects. Namely, today we're going to be looking at cushions. So I'm using 2-inch foam. It's kind of medium to firm in density because it does need to support me. And I just got it from the local haberdashery store, Dunelm, for those of you who know in the UK, who sell this by the block. And I actually, if you do go to the right store at the right time, you can sometimes find some offcuts or seconds. And this was actually an offcut that I bought with some other foam that I made for something else. And actually, it's not going to be enough for everything I want to do, but it's going to be enough to make the first cushion that I need. So, to do this, we're going to need obviously some foam. The next thing you need is the outer casing, or which I'm actually going to use this nylon, PU coated nylon. It's 40U. And it's waterproof, and I've actually made my spinnaker bag out of it. The fabric itself feels very much like spinnaker sail fabric. It's very durable, it's ripstop, and so far, you know, it seems to be easy to work with, and probably the perfect thing to make a nice cushion out of. The next I'm going to need, well, obviously I've got a zip. I'm hoping this zip, it's a waterproof zip actually. I am hoping that zip will be big enough if I maybe offset it maybe. You know, we can stuff this foam through it. Otherwise, we may have to look for a bigger zip. Originally, I was going to make some cushions but make them much smaller. But we'll run with that. We can always you know, buy another zip and recut the fabric on the back if we need to. This is just, I think they call it, well, just fabric tape. Instead of clamping or pinning together fabric, this just sticks it together and then you sew over it. It's going to make the job a lot easier. The sewing fabric cotton I'm going to use is in fact not cotton, it's polyester, 100% polyester. The reason for that is it needs to be waterproof, which cotton isn't. It needs to be rot proof, have a degree of UV, UV resistance about it. It also matches the fabric, as you can see. And I use this Gutermann one. It's really good quality, very good strength to it. And, you know, it should be everything you need in thread. The other thing I'll need is a knife. A lot of people use a kitchen electric carving knife to cut foam, but I don't have one of those. I've never had one. So I'm going to sharpen my knife and we're going to cut this foam. I think the key with this, like everything in crafting, is just to take your time, don't rush anything. It's quite satisfying, that noise. The knife does cut through this like butter. I'm trying to keep that knife as straight as I can. Now I'm aware as we get up to this side, I'll need to come from this side, I think. It's just a little too long. Okay. So I'm going to make a little pillow. I might have two of these actually. But I just need that little bit of extra help when I'm lying on here and on my side. And then this could actually double up as a very small makeshift seat. I'm thinking stormier weather, you might want to stow the big cushions away, and you could just bring this out and have a little makeshift seat. And if I do two of these, I've probably got more than enough height then to serve as two like little mini pillows. And yeah, we can cover these up exactly the same way. So we're going to practice on this cushion, this little one, because I think, yeah, we've got all the right stuff for it. The next job is to create the fabric that will form the back of the cushion, and ultimately that's where the zip's going to go. So I've pre-cut a little a piece off my main piece of fabric. Now what we need to do is, this needs to be half or quarter of an inch or 5mm smaller all the way round than the actual foam. So what we're going to do, we're going to use a different colour pen because I think that would be better here. We're going to very carefully, without squashing the foam, just seeing if we can get a nice, we can, yeah, nice little edge there. There we go. That'll do me. So there we go, and now we're going to cut along that inner square, which should be a little bit smaller than the cushion itself. There we go. Some offcuts there. So that is going to be the bottom of our cushion. And you can see it's 6mm roughly all the way round, smaller. You can see the inside's a little bit more matte and the outside, oh, that's the inside, sorry. And the outside's a little bit more shiny. So we need to make sure we get that the right way round. Next job, I'm just going to find the middles of here, and I'll explain that, why we need to do that later. I guess the easiest way to do that is to fold it over. In fact, we'll just do it on the corner we're doing it on. And just do a little line there. We'll do the same on the ends here. So we just found, like, it just help us find the middle quickly, this will. There we go. And then here is the zip. This is actually a waterproof zip, got it off Amazon. And it's a little bit bigger than this, which is fine. It does have like the closed off edges, and the zip is pre-fitted with the closed off edges here, but it's not a big deal. A lot of people seem to prefer to just sew in their little stoppers at the end. Now this zip is going to actually be mounted with the zipper on this way, so the zipper is upside down. So you can see in this instance, the outside of the zip is going to have this sort of enclosed sort of cover to it. And this is going to be nice and waterproof. So that's going to be like this way round. Now, the next thing we have to do is stick this zipper to here, or zip, should I say, to here. And to help us with that, we're going to use this. It's actually called basting tape, this is. And all this tape is designed just to take the place of pins and or clamps, you know. And it just helps fix whatever you're sewing in place. So as you can see, we're just going to put that along. Doesn't really matter where it goes, so I'm going to do it as far away from the zip as I can. without going over the edge. And all this is designed to do is hold the zipper in place while you're sewing it. So we can do that. And I'm going to go back up here and do the same on the other side. Oh, it's not sticking very well on this side for some bizarre reason. That's better. And this basting tape, you know, you don't have to worry about it. I think it eventually kind of just dissolves away over time. There we go. So we've got to, again, make sure we've got this zip the opposite way around. Now, this is where we need these little marks, so we know where the zip's got to go in the middle. Now, at this point in time, don't worry about how big your zip is, because we're going to resize that. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to actually get the zip in the right spot here. I don't even know whether I can do that. Let's just double check. Yeah, I can. So I can get it in the right spot here, because that way we don't have to sew shut the top of it. And then all I'm going to do is fix the basting tape into the middle of the pillow like this, or cushion should I say. So let's get the top off, and I'm only going to get rid of a little bit, and we're going to unpeel it as we go along. It's always easier doing that. You don't get yourself into such a mess. So again, we're gonna wonder whether it'd be better to do it this side, but it is quite difficult doing it this side. So no, I'm going to do it this way, like this. There we go. So that's the middle there, like that. So there we go. Keeping this lined up and trying to keep it nice and straight with the fabric as we can, keeping it in the center. I mean, let's have a look. It's literally there. It's literally there. And then there we go. There we are. So that's the basting tape sort of done and the zip ready. The exposed zip is on the inside. Right, so we're going to sew from the zip side. So we're going to actually, I hope this is going to be okay. We're going to have to sort of shove this zip back a little bit. So let's do that. Otherwise we won't be able to sew this properly, and I've got to just tape that a little bit there we go. Okay, so let's get sewing. Needle, we're going to change the needle position to that left hand side so we can get it as close to the zip as possible, and far away from the edge of the zip as well. So let's get sewing. Just gonna the zip zipped back this way. Just get it out of the way. There we go. And then down here, we just want to now, we don't want this zip to open up the whole width of the pillow, really. So I'm just going to actually come over here. This is where the zip will stop. So actually, by luck, the machine stopped with the needle buried. I'm just going to turn it 90 degrees. And we're going to now zip over this zipper to stop it off. So that will stop the zip. Well, this little bit that zips up and down, it'll stop it from going wee off the end. And we're going to do a little bit of reversing. There we go. Hopefully that's bang on there. And now we're going to sew all the way back up this way. So let's remove this. You can see that's our zipper zipped in. Now we can actually now just snip this zipper off. You know, I'm just going to unpeel it a little bit. So the end of here we can just snip off. Anywhere below where it's been stitched is fine. You know, so I'm going to go, yeah, about there. Hopefully these scissors are good enough for the job. There we go. So I've unstitched, got rid of the spare from there. We've got this little lock thing here, so it will stop that from unzipping. And then we've already got the lock thing up here as well. So actually this can be left as is. May need a little bit of cleaning up there, would be probably nice. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to snip off all these threads as well now, just to tidy the whole thing up. So that's the zipper sort of sewn on. The last thing we need to do for the zip is cut the slit out here. It's hard, it's actually a bit hard to do that, so just gonna try and get us started with this knife. What we don't want to do is cut anything underneath, so you've got to be a little bit careful with this knife. There we go. And then all we're going to do is cut that down. Now, because this is ripstop nylon, it does behave itself. It can fray. I mean, if you were using fabric that frayed, you'd have to finish these edges off a little bit. I actually don't know. I don't know how you do that. But there you can see this is going to be, there's the inner edge, this is the outer edge. You've actually given yourself a nice sort of covered zip as well. But now we can undo that zip. And this is actually the bottom panel completed and done. Right, and now we're going to make the rest of the cover. So what we've got to do is we've got to make this cover the width and of course the sides of the foam easier. And then I'm going to again draw around the sponge, and then what we're going to do is draw the width of the sponge all the way around, but take off that 6mm. So let's draw around here first. I'm actually using the little chalk marker this time. I'm hoping that'll make life a little bit easier. There we go. You do see that a little bit better. The next job will be to then, well, let's just measure this in centimetres. So it's actually 5 centimetres. It's not actually 2 inches, is it? So we're going to do 4.4 centimetres all the way around. We're just going to mark that again. So 4.4. I think that is the edge actually. I'm going to go back to my pencil because I know that worked. So let's measure that. 4.4. I've just got us a little bit closer. So you can see the inner circle there in the white chalk and the outer circle, the outer rectangle in the pencil. So really we need to cut this out. But before we do that, we're just going to extend these little inner lines right out, because these are going to form the sort of inner corners. So you can see I'm making a little square on each corner by doing this. Last one. So let's get that cut out now. Now all we need to do is cut these little squares out at the corners. There we go, and that's our finished template for the rest of the cover. Right, so we've got to make sure we've got the right side of the material. So that's the outside, that's the inside. So the next job is to baste these corners, and I'm going to show you how I do one. Let me just snip that off there. So we're going to baste the insides of these corners. You kind of tear these off because, as I'm demonstrating here, if you cut them, it's really hard to find an edge. Whereas if you tear them, you can find this little edge quite easily to take the protective backing paper off this. Or so he says, failing miserably to get the back off. Oh, it's because I over-taped that one a little bit. There we go. And then all we do is we fold these two corners along each other. So let's get that right. And the trick is to get them absolutely bang on in the corners there. I've just slightly got the tape back in on it, so that I think that's going to be okay. I'm just going to snip the rest of that basting tape off. I'm going to go and do the next four corners, but what you should then get is that sort of thing. There we go. So it's almost kind of made like a little bucket, and you can see these are seams, and all we're going to now do is sew along these seams to make the corners of the top case. So here's the finished product, all sewn up, and you can see it's kind of made a bucket, and you can sort of see it's now starting to take shape. Right, we've only got a few more things to do. So here's the top, and this is the inside of the top. There's the outer facing of the top. We're going to baste this with basting tape all the way round. Before we do that though, we've just got to snip this zip top. Oh, I have actually sewn that, which is a bit of a nightmare. I might just have enough by doing that. If not, we're going to have to just cut these back, otherwise they're going to end up part of the seam, which we don't want. I've made some halfway marks top and bottom on here. They're going to align up with these marks here just to help us get that put on straight. And what I'm also going to do is baste the baste the inside seams here as well. Now it's important to make sure that these are on the insides. It's all going to be on the inside of the pillows. So let's get on and do that now. Right, so let's try again. So yeah, we've got the sort of inside of this is going to be, this is also the inside, which is currently on the outside, and that all adds up now. Now we're going to stick these two together. So I'm going to start with this first edge. And I think the best thing to do really here is just to get these two middle points together. There we go. And then just basically get those together nice and easy. Go. Whoop. Oh gosh, that one stuck itself, but it seems to have done it quite well. They've matched up fairly well. Let's crack on with the rest of it. Just getting the angle in those corners set off right. We literally have got the tiniest little overlap there, but that's good enough for me. Okay, over to the sewing machine for one last sew. So back at the sewing machine, and yep, we are going to use that same little 3/8 marker in there. And we're going to sew along that as a seam there. Just get that nice. Right, so we're going to be right on the edge there. Just got to keep that nice and straight. Underneath. Make sure we're not puckered up at all. Let's get going. Okay, so there it is, all sewn up. Now we have to just undo this zipper or zip. Now, next thing, we're gonna, this is the exciting bit actually, we're gonna turn it inside out, which is actually the right way round. Make sure these little corners are pressed out. There we go. And there we go, that's the finished cover, you'll see. And the last thing we've got to do now is get the foam pad inside, which to me looks like it's way too big. But let's worry about that in a minute. We're going to get it in and we'll see. I guess there's no wrong or right way of doing this bit other than getting it in. Okay. That's it. Okay, just get that into the corners. Actually, once you work it into the corners properly, you'll actually see it is coming into shape. There we go. This side now. Let's zip it up. And there is one little box pillow. If anything, I would say that's a bit tight. It feels a bit tight. So there's something not quite right with my measurements there. But at the end of the day, that is one little pillow. And I think if we take our time on the bigger one, then I think it's going to be a success. But that for me, you know, as long as it's functional and it works, that's going to be brilliant.